The alien queen lost all hope for her child, until a human appeared with the impossible. The rivers were gone, and the forests had become strange, glowing rocks that only looked alive from far away. The whole world looked like a dream that was slowly fading. In the center of this planet lived the Kori, a species that had evolved far beyond what most people imagined. They were not like humans in shape, but they were connected in a way humans could never be. Each Kori was a part of a hive mind. They could feel each other's emotions, share thoughts, and work together as one living being. And at the center of the hive lived their queen, Sithra. Sithra was not only the leader, she was the heart of the Kori. Her body was tall and elegant, covered in soft, glowing patterns. Her eyes were deep and calm like the night sky. Every movement she made was slow and graceful, showing the wisdom of many generations. But now, Sithra's eyes were tired. She stood on the highest platform of the hive, looking down at the city that once thrived. The buildings were shaped like shells and spirals, made from living material that grew with the people. But now, the city was quiet. Only a few Kori moved in the streets. Their glow was dim, their voices were weak. The hive was losing its strength. Sithra's mind reached out to the hive. She felt the sadness of every Kori. She felt their fear. The hive had always been strong because they were together. But now, the hive was breaking apart. She turned away from the city and walked into the inner chamber of the palace. The chamber was filled with soft light. The walls were alive with thin, glowing veins that pulsed like a heartbeat. In the center of the room was a large bowl filled with a shimmering liquid. This was the life pool, the source of the Kori's strength. It held the energy of their ancestors, passed down from generation to generation. And inside the life pool floated a small, glowing shape. Sithra leaned forward, her eyes focusing on the tiny form. It was her child. Prince Lurler was not yet fully grown. He was still learning how to control his glow and how to connect with the hive, but he was special. He was the future. He was the one who would one day lead the Kori, but Lur was sick. His glow was weak, his shape was fading. The life pool, which had always kept the Kori alive, was not helping him anymore. The ancient healers had tried every method they knew. They had used old medicines, sacred songs, and powerful energy rituals. Nothing worked. The queen's heart felt heavy. She reached into the life pool with her long fingers. The water felt cold like ice. She gently lifted Lur from the liquid and held him close. "Lur," she whispered. He opened his eyes slowly. His glow was faint like a dying ember. "Mother," he said softly. His voice was small, but it carried so much love. The queen felt tears rise in her eyes, even though she had not cried in many years. "Do you feel pain?" she asked. Lur shook his head. "No, but I feel like I am disappearing." Sithra's mind reached out to him, trying to connect. She searched for his thoughts, his emotions, his memories, but his mind was like a blank space. The connection was breaking. She felt her own strength fade. For the first time in her life, the queen felt fear. She had always known the hive would face hard times. She had faced droughts, storms, and enemy attacks. But she had always believed in the hive. She had always believed in the future. Now she did not know what to believe. The healers entered the chamber. They were the oldest Kori with bodies covered in white patterns that looked like frost. Their eyes were tired and their movements were slow. They bowed to the queen. "Your Majesty," said Elder Neth. His voice was soft, but it carried a heavy weight. "We have done all we can." Sithra looked at him. "Then what do we do?" Elder Neth did not answer right away. He looked at the prince, then at the queen, and then at the life pool. "Your Majesty," he said carefully, "the life pool is weakening. The planet is dying. The hive is losing energy." "Without the prince, the hive will die." Sithra felt her body shake. "Without the prince, the hive will die," she repeated, as if saying the words out loud might make them less real. Elder Neth nodded. "Yes, the hive is connected to the prince in a special way. He is the link to the future. If he is gone, the hive will lose its path." Sithra held her tighter. "Is there no other way?" The healers looked at each other, and their eyes showed the same truth. There was no other way. Sithra closed her eyes. She remembered the stories her mother had told her, the stories of the first Kori, the stories of a time when their world was young and full of life, the stories of hope. But now the stories felt like lies. She opened her eyes and looked at the healers. "Then I will do what must be done," she said quietly. Elder Neth blinked. "What do you mean?" Sithra stood up straight. Her voice became strong. "I will send a message to the outer worlds." The healers looked shocked. It was not common for the Kori to ask for help from outsiders. They had always believed in their own strength. They had always been proud, and the outer worlds did not like the Kori. The Kori were different. Their hive mind was something other species feared. Many worlds called them dangerous. Many worlds called them monsters, but Sithra did not care about fear now. She only cared about her child. "I will ask for help," she repeated. "Even if it means we must humble ourselves, even if it means we must beg." Elder Neth bowed his head. "Your Majesty, you do not understand. The outer worlds will not help us. They will only take what they want." Sithra's eyes narrowed. "Then we will not ask for help. We will ask for a miracle." The healers did not respond. They simply waited. Sithra turned to the life pool and placed her back into it. She whispered a song of the old times. The song was meant to reach the stars. It was meant to call out to any being that might hear. She sang for hours. The song traveled through the planet's bones, through the air, and into the sky. It traveled beyond the atmosphere into space where it drifted among the stars. The hive listened. They felt their queen's hope and they felt her fear. The hive began to glow slowly like a group of small lights trying to become one big light. They connected to the queen's song and they joined their strength to hers. But even together they were not strong enough. The sky remained gray. The planet continued to die. Sithra finally stopped singing. She sank to the floor, exhausted. She felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. She felt the weight of her people. She felt the weight of her child. She closed her eyes and tried to sleep, but she could not. Then in the silence she heard a sound. It was not a Kori sound. It was not a sound of the planet. It was something else, something small but clear, a soft beep. Sithra opened her eyes and looked toward the entrance of the chamber. A small drone floated inside. It was shaped like a tiny sphere with a glowing light at its center. It moved with a careful, slow motion. It was not Kori technology, it was human. The drone stopped in front of the queen and projected a small screen. On the screen was a simple object. A small cylinder made of metal. It looked ordinary like a tool or a container. Sithra frowned. "What is this?" The drone projected a symbol. It was a symbol she had never seen before. It was a human symbol. Then the cylinder opened. A light appeared and a voice came out. The voice was clear, calm, and human. "Queen Sithra," the voice said, "I am Captain Mara Ellison of the starship Aegis. I am here to help." Sithra's heart stopped. She stared at the light, unable to move. "How do you know my name?" she asked. The voice paused. "Because I have been watching you, because I know what is happening to your world, and because I know what is happening to your child." Sithra's mind reached out to the hive, searching for danger. The hive felt no threat. The drone was not attacking. It was not dangerous. But Sithra was still afraid. She looked at the healers. Elder Neth shook his head. "Your Majesty, this is not safe." Sithra did not listen. She turned back to the light. "Why are you here?" she asked. The voice responded, "Because you sent a signal, you sang." "Your song reached me. I heard it in space. I came to answer." Sithra's eyes widened. "You heard my song?" "Yes," the voice said. "I heard the hope inside your song, and I heard the fear. I know your child is dying." Sithra's voice trembled. "Then you know what we need." The voice answered, "Yes, I know what you need, but it is not something your healers can give you. It is not something your planet can give you. It is something only humans can do." Sithra's mind raced. "What is it?" she asked. The voice said, "A cure. A way to rewrite the genes of your child, a way to save him." Sithra's breath caught. "Impossible," she whispered. The voice replied, "Nothing is impossible, not when humans are involved." Sithra stared at the light. Her heart was full of hope, but also full of doubt. She had heard stories of humans. She had heard stories of their wars, their greed, and their hunger for power. She had heard stories of how they destroyed worlds. Why would a human help her? She waited, her mind filled with questions. Then the voice spoke again. "I will help you," the voice said, "but you must trust me, and you must be willing to do something that your people may not understand." Sithra's eyes narrowed. "What do you want in return?" The voice paused, then said, "Your planet has something we need, something rare. Something that can save not only your child but many others. If you give it to us, we will give you the cure." Sithra felt a cold feeling in her body. "What is it?" she asked again. The voice replied, "A mineral found in your planet's core. It is rare. It is powerful. And it is the only thing that can make the cure work." Sithra's mind flashed with images of the planet's core, dark, dangerous, and deadly. No Kori had ever entered it. The core was the heart of Veskar. It was the place where the planet's energy came from. The queen shook her head. "No Kori can survive the core." The voice said, "Then we will go together. I will bring my ship. I will bring my technology. We will enter the core and get the mineral." Sithra stared at the light. Her heart pounded. She looked at her child in the life pool, she looked at her people, she looked at the dying planet, and she made a decision. "Very well," she said softly, "I will trust you." The voice of Captain Mara Ellison sounded calm and confident. "Good," she said, "then we will begin." Sithra turned to the healers. "We are not alone," she said, "and we have a chance." The healers looked at her, shocked but hopeful. Sithra looked back at the light. "I do not know if I can trust you," she said, "but I know one thing." "What is that?" the voice asked. Sithra's voice grew stronger. "I know I will do anything to save my child." The voice of Captain Mara Ellison answered, "Then we are not so different, Queen Sithra." And for the first time in many years, the Queen felt something she had not felt in a long time. Hope Sithra stood in the inner chamber of the palace, still holding the small metal cylinder that had brought the human message. The air felt heavy, but the Queen's heart was lighter than it had been in days. The hope of a cure was new, bright, and frightening. Elder Neth and the healers gathered around her, their faces filled with worry. "Your Majesty," Elder Neth said quietly, "you have agreed to trust a human, but we do not know them, we do not know their intentions." Sithra looked at him. "I know. But I also know we have no other choice." The healers looked at each other. Some were afraid, some were angry, some were simply confused. They had always believed that the Kori should handle their own problems. Asking for help from outsiders was not only unusual, it was a sign of weakness, but Sithra was not weak. She was desperate. She turned to the life pool and looked at her child again. Lur was still fading. His glow was dimmer than before. The Queen's heart ached. She turned back to the healers. "We will prepare for the human's arrival," she said. "We will do what is needed to help him, and we will listen to what he has to say." Elder Neth nodded slowly. "Yes, Your Majesty." Sithra placed the cylinder back into a small, protective case. The cylinder was the only link to the human. She did not know if it would work again. She did not know if the human would come. But she had to believe. The hive began to prepare. Kori workers moved through the city, cleaning the streets and repairing broken structures. They built a landing platform near the palace, shaped like a spiral with soft lights that could guide a ship. They created a safe path through the city for the human to walk. They created a quiet room for the human to speak. The Queen watched everything from above. She could feel the hive working. She could feel their fear, she could feel their hope, and she could feel her own fear. Days passed. No ship arrived. The sky remained gray. The planet continued to die. Sithra began to wonder if the human had lied. Maybe the message was a trick. Maybe the human would never come. Then one night a bright light appeared in the sky. It was not the sun. It was not a star. It was a moving light shining through the clouds like a falling comet. The Kori gathered in the streets. They looked up with wide eyes. The children whispered and pointed. The adults held their breath. The light grew brighter. Then it stopped. It hovered above the city, shining like a small moon, a ship. The ship was not large, but it was strong. It was made of metal that shined even in the gray sky. It looked like a bird made of silver. Sithra watched from the palace window as the ship slowly descended toward the landing platform. The ground trembled slightly as the ship landed. A door opened. A ramp extended, and a human stepped out. The human was a woman. She wore a simple suit that looked like it could protect her from many dangers. Her hair was pulled back. Her face was calm, but her eyes were bright and strong. She walked down the ramp with careful steps, looking around as if she was seeing the world for the first time. The Kori watched her in silence. Sithra felt a strange feeling inside her. She had expected fear. She had expected anger. She had expected a warrior. But the human did not look like a warrior. She looked like someone who had seen many hard things and still chose to be kind. The human stopped at the bottom of the ramp and raised her hand. "Queen Sithra," she said clearly, "I am Captain Mara Ellison." Sithra stepped forward. She stood at the front of the platform, her glow bright and steady. The hive watched her. Captain Mara bowed slightly. "Thank you for letting me come." Sithra looked at her carefully. "You said you would help my child." Mara nodded. "Yes, I did." Sithra's voice was calm but firm. "Then tell me what you want in return." Mara took a deep breath. "I will be honest with you, Queen Sithra. I do not want your planet, I do not want your people, I want only one thing." Sithra waited. Mara continued. "I want the mineral from your planet's core. We need it to create a device that can save many lives, not only yours but also lives on other planets." Sithra's eyes narrowed. "The core is dangerous, no Kori can enter it." Mara nodded. "I know, that is why I need your help." Sithra's heart tightened. "You want me to send my people into a place where they will die?" Mara shook her head. "No, I want to go with you." I will bring my technology, I will protect you, but I need you to guide me. Sithra's mind raced. Why should I trust you? She asked. Myra looked directly into the queen's eyes. Because I have seen your song, I have felt your hope. And because I know what it means to lose someone you love. Sithra felt a small ache in her chest. Your child is sick, Myra said softly. You are afraid, I understand. Sithra looked away. She did not want to show her weakness, but Myra did not look away. I can help, Myra said, but you must trust me. Sithra stood silently for a moment. The hive watched her. The healers watched her. The city watched her. Then she spoke. Very well, she said. I will trust you. Myra smiled slightly. Good. Sithra looked at the healers. Prepare the healing chamber. We will speak there. The healers nodded and moved quickly. Myra followed Sithra into the palace. The air inside felt warmer and softer than outside. The walls glowed gently. The life pool shone like a small sun. Sithra walked to the life pool and gently lifted Prince Lur again. He opened his eyes and looked at the human with curiosity. Myra stepped closer and kneeled. She looked at Lur carefully. Hello, Lur, she said softly. I'm here to help you. Lur's eyes blinked slowly. His glow flickered. He looked confused. Sithra whispered, He does not understand humans. Myra nodded. I know, that is why I will speak slowly. Myra turned to the queen. Your child is very special, she said. His body is different from yours. His genes are not stable. But I can fix it. Sithra's eyes widened. How? Myra looked at the life pool. We have a technology called gene resonance. It can rewrite DNA. It can repair damaged genes. It can bring someone back from the edge of death. Sithra's heart beat faster. That sounds impossible, she said. Myra nodded. It sounds impossible because it is new, but humans have done it before. We have saved many lives. Sithra looked at her child. What do you need? Myra's voice became serious. I need the mineral from your planet's core. It is a rare crystal called Veskite. It amplifies the resonance and makes the cure stable. Sithra's face became serious too. And where is this mineral? Myra pointed down. Deep in the core, the heart of your planet. Sithra closed her eyes. She knew the core was dangerous. She knew no core could survive there. The planet's energy was too strong. The heat was too high. The pressure was too heavy, but Myra was not afraid. Myra continued. I can take you there. I have protective equipment. I have tools, but I need your guidance. You know your planet better than anyone. Sithra opened her eyes and looked at Myra. You said you would protect us. Myra nodded. Yes, I will do everything I can. Sithra thought about the healers. She thought about the hive. She thought about her child. Then she asked the question she had been afraid to ask. What if the cure fails? She asked. Myra looked down. Then we will try again, but I believe it will not fail. Sithra waited. Myra looked up. But there is something else. Sithra's eyes narrowed. What? Myra took a breath. The cure will change your child. Sithra's heart stopped. What do you mean? She asked. Myra spoke carefully. The cure will repair his genes, but it will also change his body. He will not be exactly the same. He will be different. Sithra's mind spun. Lur looked up at her with a weak smile. He did not understand what was happening. Sithra felt tears in her eyes again. Myra continued. He will still be your child. He will still be Lur, but he may not look the same. He may not feel the same. Sithra's voice trembled. I do not care what he looks like. I only care that he lives. Myra nodded. I know, and I respect that. Sithra looked at the healers. Prepare the ship, she said. We will go to the core. Elder Neth looked worried. Your Majesty, the core is dangerous. We may lose many. Sithra's voice was firm. We already are losing. We cannot wait. Myra stepped forward. Queen Sithra, she said. I will not let anyone die, I promise. Sithra looked at her carefully. She saw the honesty in her eyes. She saw the human kindness that was rare among many species. She nodded. Very well, she said. We will begin. Myra smiled, and for the first time the queen felt a small light inside her heart, a small hope that maybe, just maybe, the impossible was real. And in the distance, the sky remained gray, but the world felt a little less dark. The ship Aegis stood on the landing platform like a silver bird that had landed in a strange nest. The Korai had never seen a ship like it. Its metal was smooth and clean, and it seemed to shine even in the gray light of Veskar. Sithra watched the ship from the palace window. She felt the hive around her, all of them waiting. The healers were busy preparing the equipment. The workers were making sure the path to the core was clear. Prince Lur was placed in a special cradle that kept him calm and warm. His glow was still weak, but he seemed more peaceful. Maybe it was because he felt his mother's hope. Sithra took a deep breath and walked toward the ship. Captain Mara Ellison was waiting at the ramp. She was holding a small device in her hand. She looked up at the Queen as she approached. "Are you ready?" Mara asked. Sithra nodded. "I am ready, but I am afraid." Mara smiled softly. "Fear is normal, it means you care." Sithra looked at the device in Mara's hand. "What is that?" Mara held it up. "This is a core shield generator. It will create a protective field around us. It will reduce the heat and pressure inside the core. It will also protect us from harmful energy." Sithra's eyes widened. "It is strong," Mara nodded. "Yes, it is strong, but it is not perfect. The core is powerful. We must be careful." Sithra stepped onto the ramp and entered the ship. The inside of the Aegis was bright and clean. The walls were smooth, and there were screens that showed the outside world. The air smelled like metal and clean water. Mara guided Sithra to a small room where the equipment was stored. The room was filled with protective suits and tools. Sithra looked at the suits. They were made of a material that looked like a mix of fabric and metal. They were designed to protect the wearer from extreme conditions. Mara handed one suit to Sithra. "This will help you survive the core," she said. Sithra took the suit. It felt light and soft. She looked at it carefully. "Will it fit me?" she asked. Mara smiled. "It will. The suits are adjustable, and they will connect to your body and your mind." Sithra looked at Mara. "Connect to my mind?" Mara nodded. "Yes, the suit will help you control your emotions. It will keep you calm. The core can affect the mind. We must stay focused." Sithra nodded slowly. She began to put on the suit. It felt strange at first, but then it fit her body perfectly. Mara helped her adjust the suit settings. Then she handed Sithra a small device. "This is a link," Mara said. "It will connect you to the ship. If you get lost, you can follow the link. It will guide you." Sithra took the link and placed it on her wrist. It felt warm, like a small pulse of life. Mara looked at the Queen. "We are ready." Sithra nodded. They moved to the main deck. The ship's engines hummed softly. The screen showed a view of the planet. The ground below looked like a large, cracked shell. There was a dark line in the center, like a deep scar. "That is the core entrance," Mara said. Sithra stared at the line. She felt a cold fear in her body. "Is it safe?" she asked. Mara shook her head. "No, but it is the only way." Sithra took a deep breath. "We go," she said. Mara nodded and pressed a button. The ship lifted off the platform and rose into the gray sky. The core I watched from below, their lights dim and their hearts heavy. Sithra looked out the window. She saw the city getting smaller. She saw the rivers that were now dry. She saw the forests that had become stone. She felt the planet's sadness. The ship flew toward the dark scar in the ground. The air grew warmer. The sky grew darker. The ship's shields began to glow. Mara spoke softly. "We are entering the core." Sithra felt the ship shake. The screens showed a tunnel opening beneath them. It looked like a huge crack that went deep into the planet. The ship moved into the tunnel. The walls were made of dark stone. The air smelled like hot metal. The heat increased. Sithra felt the suit's protection around her. The suit's shield glowed softly, keeping her safe. The ship moved deeper and deeper. Sithra felt a strange feeling in her mind. It was like the planet was speaking to her. The core was not just rock. It was alive in a way she had never felt before. The ship passed through a large chamber. The walls were covered in glowing crystals. The crystals shone like stars in the dark. Mara looked at the crystals with surprise. "These are Veskite," she said quietly. Sithra's eyes widened. "You found it." Mara nodded. "Yes. But we must be careful. The crystals are powerful. They can affect the mind. We must not touch them with our bare hands." Sithra felt a strange pull in her body. She wanted to reach out and touch the crystals. She felt their energy calling to her. She closed her eyes and focused on her child. She reminded herself why she was here. Mara noticed Sithra's expression. "Stay focused," Mara said gently. "The core can make you feel things. It can make you doubt. It can make you forget." Sithra nodded. "I will not forget." They moved deeper into the chamber. The crystals grew brighter. The air felt heavier. Then suddenly the ship's alarms went off. Mara's eyes widened. "What is happening?" Sithra felt a sharp vibration in her body. The suit's link on her wrist flashed. Mara looked at the screen. "The core is changing," she said. "It is reacting to our presence." Sithra's heart beat faster. "What does that mean?" Mara's voice was serious. "It means the core is alive. It is aware of us." Sithra's mind raced. She had always believed the planet was alive in a slow, gentle way, but this was different. This was a strong, active awareness. The ship moved forward. The crystals began to glow brighter and their light began to form shapes. The shapes looked like faces. Not real faces, but patterns that looked like faces. Sithra felt a chill. The shapes moved closer. Mara's voice became calm but firm. "Stay calm, Queen Sithra, we must not show fear." Sithra nodded, but her body trembled. The shapes formed a pattern that looked like a door. Mara stared at the screen. "This is not a normal crystal formation," she whispered. "It is a structure." Sithra's eyes widened. "A structure?" Mara nodded. "Yes, it looks like a room." The ship moved closer to the structure. The crystals formed a doorway. The doorway opened. Inside, the air looked different. It looked clear. It looked calm. Mara's eyes softened. "This is a chamber." Sithra felt a strange feeling in her mind. The chamber felt familiar. The ship entered the chamber. The walls were covered in crystals, but the crystals looked different here. They were not just glowing. They were moving. They were alive. In the center of the chamber was a large crystal. It was shaped like a human head. Sithra gasped. Mara stared at the crystal. Her eyes widened. "This is a human mind," Mara whispered. Sithra's heart skipped a beat. "A human mind?" Mara nodded. "Yes, this is not just a mineral. It is a mind that was turned into crystal." Sithra looked at the crystal head. She felt a strange connection. It was as if the crystal was trying to speak to her. Mara stepped closer. She placed her hand near the crystal, but she did not touch it. The crystal began to glow. A voice came out of it. The voice was not the same voice as the human message. It was different. It was older. It was softer. "Hello," the voice said. Sithra and Mara froze. The voice continued. "I have been waiting for you." Sithra's heart beat faster. "Who are you?" The voice answered. "I am called Kalen. I was once a human. I was uploaded into this crystal long ago." Mara's eyes widened. "Kalen, that name, it belongs to my mentor." Sithra looked at Mara. "Your mentor?" Mara nodded slowly. "Yes, Kalen was my teacher. He taught me about the stars. He taught me about the future. He died many years ago." The crystal voice spoke again. "I did not die, not fully. My mind was placed into this crystal to save it. I became part of this planet." Sithra felt a strange emotion. She felt sad and curious. "How did you end up here?" she asked. Kalen's voice replied, "I was part of a project." Humans wanted to explore the galaxy. They wanted to save their knowledge. They created a way to store minds, but the project failed. The ship crashed here. The minds were lost. I was one of them. Sithra looked at the crystal. "Why did you wait?" Kalen's voice was calm. "Because I knew someone would come. Because I knew the planet would need help. Because I knew the Kori would sing." Sithra's eyes widened. "You heard my song." Kalen nodded. "Yes, I heard your hope. I felt your fear, and I knew I had to help." Mara's voice was quiet. "Kalen, can you help us? Can you give us the Veskite?" Kalen's voice softened. "Yes, but there is something you must understand. The Veskite is not just a mineral. It is a part of me. It is part of the minds that were stored here." Sithra's heart tightened. "What do you mean?" Kalen replied, "If you take the Veskite, you take part of my mind. You take part of my life." Mara looked at the crystal with sadness. "Kalen, we need it. Many lives depend on it." Kalen's voice was gentle. "I understand, but you must choose carefully." Sithra felt the weight of the choice. She looked at the crystal. She looked at her child. She looked at the ship. She looked at the planet. She felt the hive around her waiting. And she realized that the core was not just a place. It was a memory. It was a history. It was a part of the past that had been waiting to be found. Sithra's voice was quiet. "We will take the Veskite, but we will not take it without respect. We will honor the minds inside it." Kalen's voice replied, "Then you are wise. You may take what you need. But remember, the cure is not only a gift, it is a responsibility." Mara nodded. "We understand." Sithra looked at the crystal again. She felt a strange warmth in her heart. She felt a new hope. The core had given them more than a mineral. It had given them a connection. And the journey was only beginning. The crystal chamber was quiet again, but the air felt heavier than before. The ship Aegis sat still, protected by the core shield generator. The walls glowed softly, and the Veskite crystals sparkled like tiny stars. Sithra stood beside the large crystal head that held Kalen's mind. She looked at it with respect and worry. The choice she had to make was not only for her child, but also for the planet and for the minds inside the crystal. Mara stood near her, looking at the crystal with a mix of sadness and determination. She held a small device that could extract Veskite safely. It was delicate and precise, like a surgical tool. Kalen's voice spoke softly, "Queen Sithra, I will help you. But you must understand the truth." Sithra's eyes narrowed slightly. "What truth?" Kalen's voice was calm. "The cure will work, but it will not keep your child exactly as he is. He will change." Sithra felt a tight pain in her chest. "How will he change?" Kalen replied, he will gain a human part of his mind. He will become a bridge between your species and mine. Mara looked up, surprised. A bridge, Kalen continued. Your child's genes are unstable. The cure will stabilize them, but it will also add a new layer of thought. A layer of human memory. Sithra's voice was soft. Human memory? Kalen nodded. Yes, humans store memory differently. We have a different way of thinking. If your child receives the cure, he will not only be Korai, he will also carry human thoughts. Sithra's heart trembled. She had never thought of her child becoming something else. She had only thought of saving him. What if he loses his identity? She asked. Kalen's voice was gentle. He will not lose his identity. He will grow. He will learn. He will become more than he was. Sithra looked down. But what will the hive say? What will my people say? Mara stepped closer. Queen Sithra, I know it is hard, but sometimes saving someone means changing them. You have to decide what is more important, his life or his old form. Sithra's eyes filled with tears. She thought of her child as a small glowing being in the life pool. She thought of the way he smiled. She thought of his voice. She thought of the way the hive would react if he changed. She thought of the future. The healers entered the chamber. Their faces were serious. Elder Neth walked slowly towards Sithra. Your Majesty, he said softly, the hive is unstable. They feel the core's energy. They feel the changes. They are afraid. Sithra nodded. I know. Elder Neth looked at the crystal. We must decide soon. Sithra looked at the healers. She saw the fear in their eyes. She saw the love they had for the hive. She saw the fear they had for change. She looked at Mara. How long will it take? Mara answered. The extraction will take some time. The cure will take time. We must be careful. Sithra nodded. She looked at the crystal again. Kalen, she said, I need to ask you something. The crystal's glow brightened slightly. Ask. Sithra took a deep breath. Do you regret becoming part of this planet? Kalen's voice was quiet. No. I do not regret it. I chose to stay. I chose to help. I have been here for a long time. I have watched your species grow. I have watched your planet change. Sithra's eyes softened. Then why do you want to give us the Veskite? Why not keep it? Kalen's voice was gentle. Because I believe in hope. Because I believe in the future. Because I believe that your child can become something beautiful. Sithra looked at the crystal. She felt a strange warmth in her heart. She felt a connection to the human mind inside the stone. But she also felt the weight of the decision. Mara stepped forward and placed the extraction device near the Veskite crystals. The crystals responded. Their light grew brighter. Mara spoke softly. We will begin the extraction now. Please stand back. Sithra nodded and stepped away. Mara activated the device. A small beam of light touched the crystals. The crystals began to separate gently and carefully. The device collected the Veskite into a small container. The crystals glowed, then dimmed. Mara looked at the container. We have enough, she said. We can go back. Sithra breathed out slowly. She felt a small relief, but then Kalen's voice spoke again. Queen Sithra, he said, there is one more thing. Sithra turned to the crystal. What is it? Kalen's voice was soft. The cure will work, but it will require a choice. Your child must accept it. He must choose to live. Sithra's heart shook. He must choose, Kalen nodded. Yes, the cure is not forced. It is a gift. He must accept it with his own mind. Sithra looked at Ler's image in her mind. She remembered his weak glow. She remembered his small voice. How can he choose? She whispered. Mara stepped closer. We will help him. We will show him what the cure is. We will show him what it means. Sithra nodded slowly. She knew that the next part would be difficult. She knew that her child might not understand. She knew that the hive might not accept the change, but she also knew that she could not give up. The ship's alarm sounded again. Mara looked at the screen. The core is reacting again. Sithra's eyes widened. What does that mean? Mara's voice was calm. It means the core is aware of the extraction. It is responding to the change. We must leave soon. Sithra felt a sudden rush of fear. She looked at the crystal chamber. The walls were glowing brighter. The crystals were moving. The core was alive. It was reacting to their presence. Mara moved quickly. We must go now. The core is becoming unstable. Sithra nodded. She turned to the healers. Take Ler, prepare the cure. We will return to the surface. The healers moved quickly. They carried the small cradle with Ler inside. The ship began to move. Sithra looked back at the crystal head. Thank you, she whispered. Kalen's voice replied, thank you for listening. Remember, the future is not only yours, it belongs to all who choose hope. Sithra felt a new feeling inside her. She felt a strange calm. She felt a new strength. The ship moved out of the chamber. The tunnel began to shake. The crystals glowed brighter and brighter. The core seemed to be changing shape like a living thing moving. Mara looked at the screen. "We are leaving the core now, the shield is holding." Sithra held the link on her wrist tightly. She felt the ship's movement. She felt the heat. She felt the pressure. The ship moved faster. The tunnel began to narrow. Sithra's heart beat faster. Then suddenly the ship moved into a space where the air was calm. The heat was less. The pressure was lower. They were out of the core. Mara let out a breath. "We made it," Sithra nodded. "Yes." Mara looked at Sithra. "Now we must save your child." Sithra looked at the cradle. Lur's glow was still weak. His eyes were closed. He looked peaceful, but the queen knew he was still fading. Mara spoke softly. "We will begin the cure now." Sithra watched as the healers prepared the equipment. The room was filled with gentle light. The air felt calm. Mara placed the Veskite container near the life pool. The crystals glowed softly. The healers began the process. Sithra stood beside the life pool, holding Lur's small body gently. She looked at him with love and fear. Mara placed her hand on the life pool's surface. "We will begin," she said. The light around the pool grew brighter. The air filled with a soft hum. Sithra felt a warmth in her body. She felt the hive's energy reaching out to her. Lur's glow began to change. It grew stronger but different. It was not the same soft glow he had before. It was brighter like a new star. Sithra watched in awe. Lur opened his eyes. He looked at his mother, then he looked at the human. His eyes were wide. His glow flickered. He spoke softly. "Who are you?" Sithra's heart stopped. Myra looked at Lur with surprise. "He is awake." Sithra felt a strange emotion. Her child was alive, but he was confused. Sithra whispered, "I am your mother." Lur looked at her, then looked away. His eyes seemed to search for something else. He looked at Mara. "Mara?" he asked, as if he knew the name. Mara's eyes widened. "He knows my name." Sithra's heart filled with fear and hope at the same time. The cure had worked, but the change had begun. Lur's glow became stronger and the room filled with light. Sithra held him close, unsure of what the future would bring. And in the quiet chamber, the queen realized that the impossible had already started. The healing chamber was quiet. The lights were soft. The air felt calm, like a warm breath. The healers watched closely as the cure continued to work on Prince Lur. Sithra held her child tightly. She felt his new glow growing stronger. She felt the life in him returning. But she also felt a strange change. Lur's eyes were brighter and his thoughts seemed deeper. It was as if he could see more than before. He looked at the world with a new understanding. Sithra's heart filled with joy but also with worry. "Lur," she whispered, "can you hear me?" Lur's eyes moved slowly. He looked at his mother. He nodded. "I can hear you," he said. His voice was clear but different. It had a new tone, a new strength. Sithra smiled, tears in her eyes. "You are awake." Lur looked at the life pool. He seemed to feel something inside it. He looked at the human, Captain Mara Ellison, and then looked back at his mother. "Who is she?" Lur asked. Sithra's heart stopped. She looked at Mara, unsure of what to say. Mara stepped forward slowly. "I am Captain Mara Ellison," she said. "I came to help you." Lur looked at Mara and his eyes softened. He seemed to understand something. "I know you," he said quietly. "You are the one who answered my mother's song." Mara's eyes widened. "You heard the song?" Lur nodded. "Yes, I heard it. I felt it." Sithra felt a new hope. Her child was not only alive, he was aware, he was connected. Mara looked at Lur carefully. "How do you feel?" Lur thought for a moment. His glow flickered as if he was trying to understand his own feelings. "I feel new," he said. "I feel like I can think in more ways. I feel like I can see the stars." Sithra's eyes widened. "The stars?" Lur nodded. "Yes, I feel like I know the stars. I feel like I can remember them." Sithra looked at Mara. "What did you do to him?" Mara's voice was soft. "I did not do anything to him. The cure did it." The Veskite made the resonance work. The cure repaired his genes. Sithra looked at her child. She saw the change. She saw the new light in his eyes, then she saw something else. The hive was changing too. Sithra felt the hive's energy in her mind. The hive was stronger. The hive was brighter. The hive was connected, but the hive was also different. The Kori were not only connected to each other, they were connected to something new. Sithra felt a new presence in the hive mind. It was not Kori, it was human. She felt a wave of new emotions. She felt new thoughts. She felt a new way of understanding. Sithra looked at Mara with surprise. "What is happening?" Mara smiled softly. "The cure is not only for your child, it is for your hive too." Sithra's eyes widened. "How?" Mara explained. "When your child accepted the cure, he became a bridge. His mind now carries human memory. The hive is connected to him. That means the hive is now connected to human thought too. Sithra's heart raced. That means we are not alone, Mara nodded. Yes. You are not alone? Sithra looked at her people in her mind. She could feel their fear. She could feel their curiosity. She could feel their hope. She felt the hive's connection growing stronger. And then she felt something else. A new voice. It was soft but clear. It was not Korai, it was not human, it was Lur, but Lur's voice was different. He spoke in the hive mind, not with words. Mother, he said, I can feel both of you, I can feel the hive and the stars. Sithra's eyes filled with tears. Lur, you are alive. Lur's voice was calm. I am alive and I am more. Sithra looked at Mara. What does he mean? Mara's eyes shone. He means he is a bridge. He can connect the Korai and humans. He can help both species understand each other. Sithra's heart filled with a new kind of hope. She looked at Lur and felt a strong love. But the queen also knew that change would not be easy. She knew the hive would need time to accept this new connection. She knew the healers would need time to understand it. She knew the Korai would need time to trust humans. Sithra looked at Mara. What will happen next? Mara took a deep breath. We will go to the hive, we will show them what has happened, we will explain the cure, we will explain the bridge. Sithra nodded. And if they do not accept it? Mara's voice was calm. Then we will be patient, we will show them kindness, we will show them that humans can be good. Sithra looked at her child. Lur looked back at her with a new light in his eyes. Mother, Lur said, I want to speak to the hive. Sithra nodded. Then speak. Lur closed his eyes, his glow grew brighter. His mind reached out to the hive. The hive felt him. The hive felt the change. The hive felt the human memory inside him. At first, the hive reacted with fear. The Korai were not used to this new feeling. It was like a new color in their world. But then, slowly, the hive began to understand. They felt the love in Lur's mind. They felt the hope. They felt the stars. Sithra felt the hive's fear, but she also felt their curiosity. Then, in a quiet moment, the hive began to glow brighter. It was not the same glow as before. It was stronger. It was brighter. It was like a new light had been added. Sithra felt the hive's connection deepen. She felt the hive's mind expanding. And then the hive spoke. Not with words, but with feeling. A wave of emotion traveled through Sithra's mind. It was a message, we accept. Sithra's heart filled with joy. Tears flowed from her eyes. She looked at Lur. She looked at Mara. She looked at the life pool. She whispered, we are not alone. Mara smiled. No, you are not. Sithra turned to the healers. Tell the hive, she said. Tell them that the future is here. The healers bowed. They began to spread the message. Outside, the city began to glow. The Korai looked up at the sky. They felt a new connection. They felt the stars. The planet Veskar felt different too. The air felt lighter. The ground felt stronger. The world seemed to breathe again. Sithra stood with her child in her arms. She looked at the sky. She thought of the old stories, the stories of the first Korai. The stories of hope. She realized that the stories were not lies. They were lessons. The future was not something that happened to them. It was something they created. And now, with a human by their side, they could create a future that was brighter than they ever imagined. Lur looked at his mother and smiled. Mother, he said softly, I want to learn more about the stars. Sithra smiled back. Then we will learn together. Mara looked at them with a warm expression. She felt a deep happiness inside her. She had come to a dying planet to help one child. But she had found something much bigger. She had found a new family. And she had found a new hope. As the sky slowly turned from gray to a soft, warm color, the queen knew that the impossible had become real. And that the future was finally bright.